humbling when you realize how short you are. Hi, everyone. I do this work because I believe this is the best way that I can change the world. And so it's really exciting to be in a room of fellow world changers. And I am extra delighted to introduce to you a special world changer on our horizon. Someone who will change the face of cancer management. Someone who is currently in an exemplar joint degree program between UC San Diego and San Diego State in molecular cell biology, focusing on cancer biology. Someone who has a bachelor's degree from the University of California at Santa Barbara in pharmacology, and someone who 10 years ago was a student in Garden Grove. Now, no pressure on this student, but he did disclose to me that most of us had developed some sort of pandemic hobby or habit. In many cases, the habit, I would say, was less healthy, was not necessarily a habit we cherish, but demonstrating his great virtue and his propensity to change the world, he became a poet along the way. So we have high expectations, or at least I do, for what's coming next. And so join me in welcoming Omar Lujano-Olazaba to the stage.
Well, I came a little prepared when I brought my iPad. Wow. Yeah, so in terms of the poetry, a lot of my poetry is kind of X-rated. So it's for mature audiences, and a 9-year-old boy should probably not be hearing what I have to say about that. So yeah, I went to high school 10 years ago, which is something that I'm starting to accept. And just to start off, I'd like to say thank you so much for everyone in the organizing committee for the gracious opportunity to shine a spotlight on teachers that shape and influence young minds. And I'll start off by, I think the past couple of speeches have really encompassed a lot of what my speech was about. And of course, every teacher in this room here has all these qualities. And to begin, I really believe that the advice and comments, feedback one gets from a teacher can really influence the path a student takes. And I think this is a quality that every teacher being celebrated today has. Besides their ability to teach their subject in a way that caters to each student's learning style, they can also provide an influence on how a student views themselves. Getting encouraging comments from a teacher can provide the gateway to shake off the imposter syndrome that some students can face, and I was one of those students. In high school, Mr. Luong once described me as a trailblazer, and this really stuck with me the rest of my academic life. With his confidence behind me, I went to UC Santa Barbara to study molecular pharmacology. From there, I began my research career in drug delivery systems for acute myeloid leukemia and melanoma, and trailblazed my way through a career as a PhD candidate in the joint doctoral program at UC San Diego and San Diego State, studying molecular mechanisms of cancer reoccurrence. So why does the cancer come back? And all of this work, hopefully, to make cancer a manageable disease for everyone. I specifically study ovarian cancer, and I spent the past 5 years or so of my life really studying cancer in the context of women's disease. And I feel like this is something that we need to bring up, especially as our current political climate suggests that women's science is not a real thing. But it is, and I'm here to say that I am one of the males that still believes in that. Women. And I've been fortunate to accomplish all of this while also being an immigrant from Mexico, from the state of Jalisco. And if you guys don't know where that is the state where tequila and mariachi is from, so. Hence also why I went to UC Santa Barbara. And so I've been fortunate to accomplish all of this with as we were talking about prejudice and all of these different backgrounds, I am an immigrant, and I came from Mexico, and I am a DACA recipient. So I went through the whole system here undocumented, and here I am. So, Mr. Luong, thank you to you. This is really, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. Your encouraging words, instilling my passion for science, and giving me the study skills needed to get through college. And so I'm here to tell you all how Mr. Luong is a trailblazer himself in the field of teaching and mentoring. Mr. Luong is a very charismatic man whose personality and teaching style made coming to class a very enjoyable experience, even when his AP Physics class was not the easiest course. Especially when math was not the strongest subject of mine. Mr. Luong influenced me to think of his AP Physics class as a challenge and something I can master with discipline. A skill that we now refer to as the growth mindset. His physics class was tough. He expected and demanded a lot from us, but at the same time, it was a challenge that became enjoyable after realizing that that's the only option. And I can proudly say, like, I got a C in his class. And till this day, I'm very proud of that C. What that C reflected was the grit needed to excel in science. And understanding difficult concepts in science was a stimulating challenge that personally became a hobby and then a career. Now, almost 10 years since that AP Physics class, that grit really comes in handy. Generating a new body of science, especially in the field of oncology, is very tough and a lot harder than I thought it would be. Here I am 3 years into this program. I'm a PhD candidate, and I can say that it's enjoyable. And it all began with Mr. Luong and his positive influence. So you may be wondering what drove me to pursue my PhD. Well, one reason was that I remember asking Mr. Luong if he could sign my yearbook. And he told me that he doesn't sign yearbooks unless they have a doctor in front of their name. So, Mr. Luong, in a year and a half from now, Dr. Lujano-Olazaba will be requesting your signature for my yearbook. And I'd also would like to add that I'm just one of the hundreds of students that Mr. Luong has influenced. His dedication to go above and beyond, to educate, inspire, and change lives grants him the title of Mensch. So I hope today I have convinced you all how Mr. Luong is a trailblazer in the field of teaching and mentoring, and I couldn't think of anyone else more deserving of this award for his dedication to mentoring and preparing so many students for college and beyond. So here's to you, Mr. Luong. This is your night, your celebration for the impact your career has had in the lives of so many students. So thank you.
Omar, do you want to come up and take a, Omar, do you want to come and take a picture with us?
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm not really good at this kind of stuff. Just throwing it out there in case I start slurring. First of all, I do want to thank you, Dr. Young, and the organization for being very well organized, something I do appreciate. It's been a treat well hosted. So thank you for all the board members listening to Kirk speak this morning, and all you former honorees as well. It's good to be in your company, even though I haven't really get to meet all of you, but it's good to be in the presence of people who care. So thank you for caring. Second, I'd like to thank you, my beautiful wife to my left, because 20 years in, especially the last couple of years, it's been kind of rough. We focus on the kids having mental stress, call it that, for lack of a better phrase at the moment. But it's been a rough journey the last couple of years when I've come home and maybe thinking and reassessing whether this profession is for me or not. And this tonight definitely helps solidify and will encourage me to continue to do the work that we do, not just me, as teachers. And whether this event comes or not, it's hopefully still meaningful and impactful. So thank you to her for dealing with I know there's a young man in the house, my BS. Not my son, he hears it all the time. Trying to teach him how to code switch in different environments. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta sound sophisticated, sometimes you just gotta F it. But the table ahead of me is gone now, so I think most of us are adults here. But hey, just it's good to see Omar here. To think back how far, 10 years now, when he was in my junior AVID class, Karen Gawala, who used to coordinate with me for AVID at Garden Grove High, we would speak about this young man all the time as a trailblazer, knowing his past as an immigrant, coming from Mexico in a car, and kind of at some point flipped that switch in high school, junior year, where he took his academics serious, and being an AVID, obviously, teacher, you want to see all of your kids excel, and he just stood out amongst the kids I had. Everyone was good. He just stood out. He worked hard, and junior year came. He did great in school, and so to speak a little bit about him, he ended up taking my physics C calculus base class, and man, that senior year was stressful, you guys. I would go down to Karen Gawala, and I would like, hey, we gotta talk, because Omar's stressing me out, because of course I know he can't have a D on his transcript, but at the same time, it jeopardizes my integrity. And I'm sure, I'm sure Omar can vouch. I tell the kids, I love you as people, but I will not give you a passing grade because I'm pressured to do so. And I knew this young man, having him an AVID junior, was very receptive. It was easy to push, but man, it was stressful. Because I knew I had to give him a little nudge, and there's been times where I'm like, hey, Omar, hey, bro, we got to get going. And he did, and he mentioned he has a C, and to me, a letter grade is just a letter grade. It's not a measure of how we are as people. I hate to say that, being Vietnamese and all, and again, I'm just... Just throwing it out there, and I know, and I hope my son's listening to this particular, whether he remembers it or not. But not your typical engineer, doctors, or lawyers. Which sometimes my mom looks at me and she's like, "You're an underperformer." I'm like, "It's okay. It's perfectly okay," because stuff like this reminds me of I think that I'm decent at doing what I do, decent. But I'm just so proud of Omar for going to UC Santa Barbara. I remember we were on the college tour, and just looking at this, okay, please don't judge me, Mexican, for going so far, in the couple years I've known him, And then we stay in touch. And you know, when he got into the dual program at San Diego State and UC San Diego, he had reached out to me and kind of supposed to celebrate. And then COVID hit. So I never met his former girlfriend, but you know, it's good to see someone like him that can honestly have self-determination and have grit, resilience, and these are things I try to instill in my kids, regardless of your background, that it's okay. It's okay to struggle. I've struggled, and I like to pass my struggles on to my kids, regardless of their, home life, and that just grind it out. I got you, just grind it out. I'm here to help you, whatever you need, just grind it out, you know. And he listened, you know, and it's something I preach to my kids is, you know, if you try your best, I don't give a S what you have in my class, whether it's an A or a B, I will respect you because that's your best effort. And it's hard for some kids to internalize that because they're so concerned about getting that stupid letter grade. And I'm not about that, you know, and trying to change that typical mindset, you know, one student at a time, call it that. But man, have a C and I will respect you utmost because that is all I can squeeze out of you. So, no, I'm flattered to be here, but you know, it's I know, like honestly, when Dr. Young introduced Omar, I was like, oh no, if this is I know this kid, because I call him Lujano, but you know, all humor aside, I think my downfall at times at school, and made Dr. Young witness it a little bit when she was there, which I'm super surprised to be here. And that is, you know, I will push the kids as hard as I can because I see potential in the young people that sits in front of me, regardless of color. And it's hard to get them to buy into that because I know some don't come with that confidence swag. I call it academic swag. Like, you don't got it yet, but let me work with you. You know, like, and that's all sometimes that I need kids to do is give me a chance. And I think I tell them, you know, together we can be successful. You just gotta give me a chance. You just gotta trust me. Like, I'm here to help you. I'm not here to flunk you because that doesn't make me feel good at night, you know? And I don't think that make any of us feels good at night, but come in, always do your best, give me your 110%, and I will, in return, will get your back, all of it. I got your six, all of it, all the time, every time. I don't know what you need from me. I don't care if you need to talk to your parents. I don't care if someone's yelling at you. You need a place of shelter, come in my room. Like, I got all of it. You're getting bullied, come inside. I got you. So it's just something that I live by as a person, you know, and then, again, being maybe relatable to Omar, you know, thank you to my parents who are not here, obviously, to enjoy this particular day. But having been a Vietnamese immigrant, I came here in the 1990, towards that 1990, and I can relate, you know, having parents who don't speak a lick of English, having been in those former ESL classes, you know, it's just grinding it out. And thanks to the man upstairs, woman upstairs, you know, gave me a brain, and I kind of maximize on what I like to do, and here I am today, in front of good company, intellectual company. So thank you for having me. Thank you for having my family, and thank you to Omar for speaking on my behalf. So thank you.